All right, guys, our next card is a really beautiful card. I love it a lot. And it is going to feature this floral image. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to take and set these things aside because we actually need to do a bit of stamping before we get to that part. So first of all, I want my scrap of white. I'm just trying to figure out where I put mine. I have 2 scraps of white. Can I find either one of them? No. I think I will just grab another. All right. So, oops, that's not white. Here we go. Goodness. All right. So, first things first, I'm going to stamp my jar in some black ink, like that. I'm also going to stamp my beautiful floral design like this. And by the way, I think one of the reasons why I didn't get a good impression on that last one is I didn't kind of stamp it. I didn't, let it sit enough. I could also have used my Pierce mat, which, by the way, the Pierce mat got retired, but the Stampin' Up! Brought it back, and it is now back in stock, so that's good. Also, I want to stamp the stems in here, and I'm going to stamp them not at the very top of the jar, but right in there like so. Okay, so those fit in there nicely. And then last but not least, I'm actually going to take the jar. Now these are reversibles, so I've got it on the solid part. And I want to stamp this in Pool Party. I'm going to get rid of the first layer of ink though, because otherwise it's going to be really dark, and we don't need it to be that dark. We just want it to be light, and there we go. Okay, now we're going to do some coloring. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide which colors are going, or which flowers are going to be which. I want some yellow flowers. I think these 3 flowers I'm actually going to leave to be white. I'm going to have some blue berries in here, and maybe this flower, maybe these, well, you'll see. We'll get in there. Oh, goodness. And then I'm going to do some leaves with my old olive. I'm going to start with my light old olive, and I'm going to color these stems. And I'm doing these first because I usually forget about them. I don't know about you guys. When I color in something that's got, a bunch of different little pieces and parts and colors and whatnot, sometimes I forget to do all the coloring. And when I do that, I kind of get frustrated. So we'll just color these in. I'm not doing any shading. They're already in a jar, so I don't know. I guess you could if you wanted, but I'm just leaving them kind of light. Then I'm going to come back in. I'm going to do these leafy things. I'm just going to kind of add some. These are sort of like ferns. So I'm just going to kind of color over them. So there's a little bit of color to fill out the bouquet a bit. And then we'll do the leaves with some dark old olive, and then we'll blend those out. These look like blueberries to me almost, so I don't know what they're supposed to be. But we'll give them a color. Oh, there's a couple more over here. And we'll blend those as well. Okay. Next up, I'm going to tackle this yellow flower. So I'm going to, and I don't know, is this a sunflower? I don't know what this is. So just like any flower, we'll put the base with a dark shade, and then we'll blend it out to be light. Okay, that looks good. Let's see. I want to do this flower in my razzleberry, and I've got pretty similar kind of color scheme here as before, but our card base is different this time. So I like the look of that. I've got my berries on here, which we're going to do in our Misty Moonlight. And I do like adding that to this. You could do Old Olive, by the way. I don't think I was supposed to color those, but that's okay. Because that is something else, but it's okay because we do not judge here at the Creativity Cave, and mistakes are allowed, so it's all good. All right, now the center of this, by the way, I haven't done yet. I want to do that, I think, actually in my bronze marker. Oh yes, that looks fantastic. And then last but not least, I'm going to color my 3 flowers in with Clear Wink of Stella instead of anything else. And it's just a kind of a fun way to add white flowers, of course, to your project. And I suppose we could put some yellow in the center of these if we wanted, but this looks fine. And then we're also going to do some crumb. I think this is crumb cake. Yeah, crumb cake. I've got my dark crumb cake, and I'm just going to color these kind of branchy things in. So I think these are, well, here we call them pussy willows. I don't know what. I think they're called different things in different parts of the country. Foxtail, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to answer. Okay, so we're done with our coloring. That looks excellent. Next, I need to take my jar punch. Ooh, I had it out. Here we go. I'll take and punch this like that. And then we're going to fussy cut this out to put on top. And I know we're fussy cutting it, but it's worth it. It's going to be so pretty. So just like anything else we've done, we're going to cut that out nicely. Then you can find all the little things you haven't colored in yet, and then you can decide if you want to color them or just leave them. Remember, we don't judge here at the Creativity Cave. That's one of our founding principles. I remind people of that often when they say things, to let them know it's okay. It helps if you stick your tongue out while you're cutting. But again, I remind you, I'm holding my snips pretty steady. It's the paper that's moving around, and I find that gives me quite a bit of control. Because if I hold my snips at an angle where I can always see what the blade is cutting, I get a much better result. Oh gosh, and I see I'm not even in the screen. I so apologize for that. Isn't this just beautiful, though? Of course, you can color these however you want. Like that. All right, well, let's put our card together. I also have one more little thing to stamp, but now the first thing we're going to do, first of all, I want to tell you this. We didn't do this for you, but you can if you want. Take and cut this, or I'm sorry, not cut it, emboss it with your Settle embossing folder. It'll be really pretty. I'm going to show you an alternative of this, by the way, in a minute, and then that will have the embossing so you can see the difference. We also want to set our jar on something. We don't want it just free floating in the air. This is something actually Liz Price, who is doing some of our display stamping, she taught me this a long time ago. So we're going to just kind of create some grounding for this with our light smoky slate marker. Okay, you could watercolor it too, that's fine. And I'm going to place this, and actually I want this to go a little further down because we're going to run out of room otherwise. Okay, so we want to get our jar right down in there. We're going to pop that up along with the flowers on top. And right now, I'm like literally, I'm so have sunflowers on the brain. You could do everything in sunflowers if you wanted. But I'm going to pop this up right on top like so, overlapping that jar just a bit. So I'm going to actually put my dimensionals on here. And I think I'm even going to try to scoot my jar down just a little bit. You really want it way down there. There we go. And I'm even going to sneak a little more of that down. Okay. And then I will pop this up right over the top, and it just fits on here. Oh, so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? Next, I'm going to take some of my linen thread. You could also use the twine we just used. Either one will do the job. And just like before, I'm going to double this. And I've got kind of a little funky part in my thread, so we'll see if I hold that or not. We'll tie our bow and then add this to the jar. Kind of right there. And that sort of hides some of the messiness of this because it's not, you know, perfect. And bows are great at hiding some of our imperfections on our cards, which I love that part. Okay, so there we go. Oh, so pretty. Then I will go ahead and adhere that to a piece of Night of Navy. Look at how pretty that is. Oh, love it. And then my card base is Bumblebee. And the last thing I'm going to do is, sorry, I think my phone must have tipped down a little because I keep finding that I'm not in the screen and I should be. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to add this to my card like so. Woo, that stuck. And then I'm also going to put down right here, I need to add a sentiment. So you can get sentiments from a variety of places. I'm actually going to use the Four Season Floral, which is actually a set that will combine really nicely with your jar of flowers. I'm going to use the happy birthday out of that. There's thank you, for you, all kinds of things that you could use, but I love the happy birthday. I think it's nice. And I will stamp that with some Night of Navy ink on my scrap of white and just trim it out. And I've got a little piece. So I'll just trim that out, and then of course you can use whatever type of sentiment works best for your occasion. There we go. Sorry, I wanted to show you that card too. So cute, and you can see the embossing